Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Let's get this thing rolling. What are we doing? Start sit lineup advice week number 5. If you guys can believe it, the season is drastically passing us by, but you know what? If you are losing, do not give up hope. We can bring it all back. The bye weeks and injuries, we can get back into the good books, especially if you're picking up players off the waiver to help your team and playing teams that are on heavy bye weeks. We can get back in this. I'm telling y'all, it is never over until the fat lady sings. And I'm telling you, let's dive in. You guys know the drill. Every single week, rapid fire, every team, every player. Arizona Cardinals taking on those San Francisco 49ers. Kyler Murray. Okay, it's been a little bit an up and down season so far. Yes, 70 points are on the board, but only 2 boom games. Hasn't been giving us the whole meal deal we're looking for this week versus 49ers. Huge divisional contest. They're 1-3, Niners 2-2. So this game could actually see a lot of fireworks, and I would not be surprised. While I do got a Kyler on a mid-level risk, you fire him up everywhere you got him. It's a tougher defense, but there could be some ample garbage time opportunities and productivity this week. Fire up Kyler everywhere you got him. They got to lean upon a James Conner once again. 3 boom games look good last week, like I said, and I mean, he did boom for us last week as well. This week, it's going to be tough sledding once again, but they do lean on a James Conner versus 49ers quite a bit historically. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Marvin Harrison Jr., this 49ers secondary can be gashed at times as well, and I don't think this is a no-brainer as well. Fire him up on the low-level risk. Michael Wilson, low upside, and Greg Dortch, PPR floor. Definitely Dortch over a Wilson for me. It's been a little far too stagnant for a Wilson to trust at this point. They got to figure out somebody to be the secondary piece here. They do get Trey McBride back, which is nice. Mid-level risk for Trey coming off the concussion. I do like Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride this week with some sprinkles of a Greg Dortch and then obviously a James Conner. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, the Ravens kicked the Buffalo Bills' butts last week, and I mean, rumor has it that, Devontae Adams is posting things about Edgar Allan Poe. Quote the Raven, I think is what it is, nevermore. So I'm telling y'all right now, Ravens get Devontae Adams. I'm not saying that's a huge uptick for fantasy football, but I do believe that it would increase their Super Bowl odds. But Lamar Jackson's been absolutely stellar. 92 points, baby. Low-level risk for a Lamar 4 boom games, likewise with a Derrick King Henry. Told y'all this was going to be a match made in heaven in Baltimore with Derrick Henry. Low-level risks for both these guys versus Cincinnati Bengals defense that struggles on the best of days to stop the pass and the run game. Justice Hill, he will be sprinkled in from time to time. Had a good game versus the Bills last week. PPR upside is definitely here on the mid-level risk. In deeper leagues, maybe even if you're stuck with some players on the bye, I don't hate it this week, but the floor will be definitely temper your expectations on the floor, but he does have decent PPR upside. Zay Flowers, mid-level risk. I don't know what's going on in this pass game right now, obviously, because the run game's working so well. They're just using the receivers sparingly. Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, complete afterthoughts. We don't even look in their direction for fantasy. Where Zay Flowers this week, I think there could be a little bit of a resurrection in his game. I do like the play in my flex. Wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2-3 at this point for Zay Flowers, but he could have a decent showing this week. Mark Andrews, high-level risk. Some of y'all dropped him, and I completely understand why. It just sucks they're not utilizing him. They're keeping him on the line to block that much more, being the team player rather than the pass catcher we're used to. High-level risk for Mark Andrews once again this week. Isaiah Likely, I'll give him the mid-level because eventually somebody's going to stop Derrick Henry. Eventually it'll happen, so somebody's got to help out in the pass game, and Likely could have a decent week this week. Bills Mafia, Buffalo Bills taking on the Houston Texans. Huge game. Get your popcorn ready, man. Stephon Diggs back to taking on the Buffalo Bills. We'll touch that when we talk about Houston. Josh Allen, low-level risk, coming back off a terrible game, terrible show versus the Ravens. I think this is a big-time get-right game. They lose 2 in a row versus 2 quality offenses. This is going to be a problem in Buffalo. I fully expect the Bills to come back and play almost lights out. If you want to say Josh Allen's going to definitely take a lot of the pain on his back, and he's going to push this offense down the field. James Cook, likewise, low-level risk. They got to get back to the run game, especially without a Khalil Shakir. He is ruled out with an ankle injury, so a heaping of Josh Allen and James Cook should be the MO in this contest, but who's going to be the wide receiver to trust in this offense? Keon Coleman, rookie. I'm going to say target upside on the mid-level risk. Somebody's got to take these targets, right? Okay, he had 1 one terrible drop last week, and he's got some good, at least some chemistry on that back shoulder fade, but we got to see a little bit more out of it. Maybe they open him up just a little bit this week. Very tough start, but I think the volume target upside should definitely be here. At minimum 5 to 6 targets in this game, so hopefully Keon can showcase why the Bills drafted him. Curtis Samuel, I got him on a sleeper on this week. With no Khalil Shakir, you got to believe that Curtis Samuel is going to take that Shakir role this week and should be force-fed by a Josh Allen. So he is a sneaky one. Very much high risk, high reward. Could give you a goose egg, could give you 14. That's kind of where you see there's no in-between here. It's either he's going to bust or he's going to hit for y'all this week. So definitely sleeper appeal. Mac Hollins, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I mean, high-level risk. I don't think we could touch this. Way too volatile in this offense. And then Dalton Kincaid. You know the Houston Texans are going to double up at Kincaid the entire game. That's why I got him on the mid-level risk right now. I still think we can play him because there will be opportunity, but I mean, definitely temper those expectations for a Dalton Kincaid. Carolina Panthers taking on the Chicago Bears. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, he's putting up points. He's carrying a lot of us in super flex leagues right now, and I, for one, am here for it. Mid-level risk versus a Bears defense that is still very good, but at least Andy's going to be able to at least move the football down the field and get you points. So if you are streaming quarterbacks, Andy's not a terrible one. Once again this week, Chuba Hubbard. If you dropped him in the league, in your leagues, and someone else picked him up, I feel for y'all, man. You had to drop him when you did. It just was not looking good with Bryce Young. If you got him back on your roster, great. If not, if you got him just off somebody else's roster, you're smiling ear to ear. Low-level risk, almost 60 points for Chuba. Last 2 weeks have been killer two-boom games. And he's even bringing his buddy Miles Sanders along with a low floor on 22 points. So Miles, I'm not playing this week. Definitely want to see another outing that's going to be showcasing that he is somewhat back to decent, reliable levels. But Chuba is running wild right now. Deontay Johnson, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere he got him. He's looking absolutely stellar with an Andy Dalton. And then Xavier Legette, this rookie, mid-level risk. I said, it was upside last week. And I think we can absolutely play him in the flex. I got a couple leagues. I'm starting Legette in my flex as well. Mingo and Tremble, not touching it for fantasy purposes. Chicago Bears taking on those Carolina Panthers. Caleb Williams and these Bears seemingly figuring it out just a little bit more last week, started to get the ground game going, and that's what I was saying at the beginning of the season. You can't throw Caleb to the Wolves and expect him to be like, vintage Patrick Mahomes. You got to let this man learn on the fly, let him grow, and that's why you brought all these pieces like a Swift, like a Moore, like an Adunzie, like a Keenan Allen. You need to spread the football around, make this rookie a lot more comfortable than he has been. Yes, this offensive line is terrible, and they do not block. Mid-level risk for Caleb Williams right now versus Panthers defense that has seen better days. I think we see one of the best days for a Caleb in his NFL career. DeAndre Swift on the mid-level bounces back in a big way. They were talking Roshan taking his touches, and he says, hell nah, man, I am still DeAndre Swift mode. And he swifts his way right into that end zone, and he is a mid-level risk. I do like the play of a DeAndre Swift this week as well. It is a very good matchup. Shaq Thompson went down with an injury. I believe an Achilles tear. He's gone for the year, so the Panthers will have gaping holes in that middle. DJ Moore on the revenge game. Fire him up everywhere you got him. You guys know I'm a sucker for revenge games, going back to play against the Panthers, his former club. DJ Moore, yes, it's been definitely sparring under 40 points in 4 games, only one boom. It's not good, but I think this is a game he absolutely goes off. He's going to be pleading with his coaching staff, feed me the ball. I want to showcase it versus my former team. Rome Adunzie, so far so good, mid-level risk. There is flex appeal here, anywhere from 8 to 12 points. I don't dislike it. I mean, there are better options out there, but I mean, with the buys, I get it. You might be stuck. You might be looking and scrambling for options. I would play a Rome this week as well. Keenan Allen, low floor on the mid-level risk. I just want to see a little bit more. I'm still kind of benching him in leagues where I still got a lot of, depth, but in others, I'm forced to play him, which sucks because I do want to see a little bit more. Just don't foresee a lot of targets being spread from Caleb at this point to support everybody. It's just not happening. And Cole Kmet on the mid-level risk. It is going to be very much up and down week to week when it comes to Cole Kmet, but I do like the wide receivers this week versus the Carolina Panthers. Cincinnati Bengals taking on those Baltimore Ravens, Joey B and Jamar Chase. They look good last week as well. The return of T. Higgins to some relevance was nice to see as well. Low-level risk for a Joey B. Fire him up everywhere you got him. In a Jamar Chase, I don't even think we have to think about it. This is a huge divisional contest. Yes, the Ravens defense is good, but it's Jamar Chase, it's Joey B., and they will play very tough versus these Ravens like they always do. Zach Moss, Chase Brown, we got a little problem here of who to play, who to start. Got them both on the mid-level risk as they both popped off last week and looked good running the football. The problem here in Cincinnati is the defense, so they will be coming back to, definitely going to be playing from behind. The defense will give up a lot of plays to Lamar Jackson and a Derrick Henry, so you got to believe the running game may get tapered off as we get into that second half. So as long as they can control some clock and score some points early on, the run game will still be here. Outside of that, I want to believe it is Zach Moss, the more physical running back versus these Baltimore Ravens. T. Higgins, TD upside on the low-level risk. It was nice to finally see him get back in the groove with a Joey B. I don't totally foresee it happening again. A lot of attention is going to be on a Jamar Chase, so T. Higgins could have that big day. Low floors for both Andre Yosevash and a Mike Gesicki. Not playing these guys this week either. Cleveland Brownies taking on those Washington Commanders of commies. Okay, and Deshaun Watson, I mean, what kind of holding call was that? They should have won that game last week. He threw a beautiful pass, and it was called back on one of the weakest holds you'll see. You got to feel for these Brownies that way. Deshaun Watson, mid-level risk versus a commies defense. That does still give up a lot of points, so they should be able to at least move the football around. Where Jerome Ford, this could be one of the last, big opportunities to play a Ford, where Nick Chubb is on the IR return, coming back to form. I believe the 21-day window was opened up, so we're talking the next 3 weeks potentially. These are the last days we're going to see a Jerome Ford be the lead back in this offense, so take advantage of it versus commies defense that definitely does give up points to running backs. Amari Cooper, low-level risk. He took a haircut after having a big game, and I do think it's going to come back to being a big game once again this week. Washington's secondary definitely does have some gaping holes that they can be exploited from, so I do believe force-feeding Amari Cooper. He would have had a big boom game because that was his touchdown last week that they called back, and I do foresee it happening once again. Jerry Jeudy on the mid-level risk. He's been safe, man. Anywhere from the 7 to, 11 points is not dreadful whatsoever. I do like Jeudy in deeper flex leagues. If you have multiple flex, Jerry Jeudy is definitely trustworthy in that respect. And David Njoku, injury risk on the mid-level. If he does suit up, I don't hate the play because we've been struggling at tight ends, but I mean, it's going to be definitely hit or miss this week once again. Dallas Cowboys versus the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Dak Prescott and these Cowboys, man, they're struggling. Brandon Cooks is out. Ryan Flournoy is going to be questionable on the undisclosed injury because somebody's got to take the secondary catches, and maybe it is Jalen Tolbert. It could be Jalen Tolbert Day, but we'll see because I do like Jake Ferguson a lot as well. Dak Prescott on the mid-level risk. A lot of good defensive play could be had here for Pittsburgh as well because they will not fear the run. Zeke Elliott, no way. We're not playing that. We haven't touched it in weeks. Rico Dwaddle on the mid-level risk. We saw some volume upside, but again, I'm not a huge supporter of a Rico at this point, and the Steelers defense will be coming with the bum rush on these Cowboys on the offensive line that does struggle at the most of times to open up lanes for the running back. CeeDee Lamb, low-level risk. He will eat no matter who he plays, and then Dak will get his points that way. So, I mean, if you got a better option than Dak, I would suggest it, but if you don't, I understand playing Dak, and he should still give you decent points anywhere from 15 to 19 this week. CeeDee Lamb definitely going to eat where a Turpin. He's definitely the boomer bust speed play that, they were going to try to replace with a Brandon Cooks. He might get some, but can we trust it on a fantasy football week where we need wins? It's very difficult to trust. Where Jalen Tolbert, the PPR floor, is looking nice, and I always like me some Jalen Tolbert. Very good quality secondary wide receiver. And Jake Ferguson on the low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him. He should have a boom day, no question about that. Denver Broncos taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. And okay, I'll be an apologist today because I will always admit when I'm wrong. And I wasn't necessarily wrong. I was just underselling how good this Broncos defense truly is. I was giving it upside to a lot of the elite talented offensive pieces. This week, I will not do that, man. This Broncos versus the Raiders, the defense should eat up a Gardner Minshew. Where Bo Nix, he looked a lot better last week as well. I mean, it's not great. I mean, his stats, 60 yards and gets the wins, but he's playing the game manager role. You're asking him not to make mistakes, and that's kind of what you want to see as his progression continues to move forward. Can we play him in fantasy football? Not yet. It's way too early at this point, but I will give him a mid-level versus a Raiders defense that is struggling in the most of times as well, especially with Max Crosby potentially not on the field once again. Javonte Williams, mid-level risk. We might actually finally see a boom game come from my guy Vontae. It's been a struggle for him to run the football. We're at Jaleel McLaughlin, high-level risk. So if you got other options over Avante, it's okay, but I think that this might be the week we can trust a Javonte Williams to get us some points. Cortland Sutton on the mid-level risk, 2 boom games. comes in garbage time most of the time, but I think this week versus a Raiders team, we could see some heaping of target going to a Courtland Sutton. So on a deeper flex as well, I don't dislike a Courtland Sutton this week. Humphrey and Reynolds, not really touching it, where Reynolds does have that low floor. It's just not near enough pass attempts to go around. Continuing on this offense where Greg Dulcich, not touching that either. Green Bay Packers versus the LA Rams. Okay, I was shocked. I'll eat my words as well. I thought they should have rested Jordan Love last week as well, but clearly the knee was good to go. They started out rusty, started out porous, and the Vikings took advantage of every opportunity, but these Packers definitely showcased their moxie and climbed all the way back, made it a very entertaining contest. Low-level risk for Jordan Love, man. Jordan Love, feeling love for love is back because he's so good, and this offense is so dynamic, so many weapons, but they are dealing with injury. Christian Watson, he is on the doubtful side. Romeo Doubs, it was questionable as I was putting all this together. He is now on the doubtful as well due to personal reasons, so it is going to be Jaden Reed. It's going to be Dontavian Wicks, man, I'm telling y'all. So Jordan Love, low-level risk, fire him up everywhere he got him. Josh Jacobs on the other end as well. No more Aaron Donald. Teams are running free against these LA Rams. We could see finally the breakout game we're looking for from a Josh Jacobs this week. Fire him up, obviously, everywhere he got him, but think we could see the best day from him this week as well. Jaden Reed, low-level risk, and a Dontavian Wicks, low-level risk. These gentlemen will both find their way into the end zone. I have no doubt in my mind, as they both are stellar prospects. There's so many players, so if a Dobbs does sit and you're looking for the third one, you got to believe it's either Heath or a Bo Milton in this game, leaning more towards Heath over Milton, so keep that in mind if you are in really deep leagues and looking for wide receivers. Tucker Kraft at mid-level risk. I think we could fire him up as the tight end as well, based on how porous the tight end position has been. Houston Texans taking on my Buffalo Bills. CJ Stroud. Okay, 3-1, and everything is going to be dominated with the Stephon Diggs revenge game, so let's start there. Stephon Diggs, revenge game, low-level risk. He's going to eat this week, and you know it. This game means a lot to Diggs. And it really does suck as a Buffalo Bills fan, but you know how much he wants to come here and beat the Bills down, and I think he's going to play lights out. If you got him, he's already got 3 boom games, is heavily involved in this offense, does a lot of work to open up a Nico Collins as well, but Stephon Diggs is scoring versus the Buffalo Bills, and he's going to make light of the fact that he is him in this contest. CJ Stroud, low-level risk, fire him up, even though the Bills are getting back some defensive help with a Bernard and company. We will see. They lost a Von Miller to suspension. No Ed Oliver in this contest as well, so the Bills are still handcuffed when it comes to the defensive side. Cam Akers and Ogunbowale. I totally butcher Buddy's name every time. I apologize, sir. Ogunbowale, I believe is how you pronounce it, so I do apologize, making a little fun of your name. But mid-level risk for Cam Akers, I would look in other directions. Even though the Bills got gashed by a Derrick Henry, Cam Akers not Derrick Henry. He could find his way to 10-plus points versus the Buffalo Bills, but I do believe that it's going to be a CJ Stroud versus Josh Allen showcase this week as well. Diggs, obviously, like I said, fire him up. Nico Collins, low-level risk. He's been stellar, almost 80 points, 4 boom games. Fire this man up everywhere he got him. Tank Dell. Man, we almost got to see it to believe it at this point. It's just so many targets going to Diggs and Collins that, Tank Dell's becoming the afterthought. So we might see a TD this week on the change of pace, but it's a mid-level risk. If you got better options, I want to, play those ahead of a Tank Dell at this point. But if he does hit on your bench, it does suck, but at least we're not going to be looking for points where he's only getting us 6.5 to 8.5 points per week. Indianapolis Colts taking on those Jacksonville Jaguars. Right now, I got Joe Flacco pegged in here where it still could be an A-Rich. But this offense moved so much better with a Joe Flacco. Let Anthony Richardson just sit on the sideline, learn a little bit, hold that clipboard, and understand what's going down. Joe Flacco at least can support wide receivers, mid-level risk if a Joe does play. Jags have seen better days. They are 0-4, and they are definitely beatable on the defensive side. No Jonathan Taylor. That hurts us all very much. Jonathan Taylor owners, I'll put my hand up as well because I have plenty of shares of him also. But we got Trey Sermon. Volume upside in the green for me. This is a very big risk reward as well, but at least we're hedging on the side of volume upside. Tyler Goodson is the other one. High level risk for me. He will see some change of pace. He will see some PPR work where Trey Sermon will see the volume and potential red zone opportunity. So for me, it is Sermon over a Goodson, but at this point, it's still risky. But if you're lost to Jonathan Taylor and you got bye week troubles at running back, definitely Sermon is one to look at. Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, downs. We're down for downs because we can play both these gentlemen with a Joe Flacco, in my opinion. He was able to support both these gentlemen to a good level of points last week, and it should continue down this point. These guys are far too talented to not see target share, and Anthony Richardson just cannot get them the football. So if A-Rich does play, downgrade both these wide receivers to a low floor where a Joe Flacco gets them to mid-level risk for me, and I'm playing both of them. Alec Pierce, not so much. A.D. Mitchell, we're just waiting for the breakout game. Then we're going to be happy. I want to say it's going to be anywhere from like week 7 to week 10 that we start to see AD start to pick up steam. But again, Anthony Richardson definitely crippling the cause when it comes to this pass game. And then a Kylan Granson, we are definitely not touching that one. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on those Indianapolis Colts. Like I'm saying, Trevor Lawrence, 0 boom games, 0-4. I mean... It's not good. And I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it whatsoever. This offense was supposed to take another leap forward. It just does not look good. Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence just does not look right, and there's something missing here. It can't just be an Evan Ingram. They're not running the football well. They're not doing anything well at this point. Trevor Lawrence definitely getting you just under the boom thresholds. 50 points in 4 games, definitely not cutting it, but he's giving you, super flex appeal to play each week. But at this week, I mean, versus the Colts, this is a big game where he does typically do well. I believe he's got, 9 TDs to 2 interceptions versus these Colts historically. So if you are looking for a big play, this has to be the game that he does break out. Travis Etienne, low-level risk, even though he is dealing with a shoulder. He's been booming 3 games, but it's on the lower end of the booms, which still does hurt. We're looking for the high upside. It's like Josh Jacobs not giving us the top-end upside we like and need, but I would still play in Etienne this week. Indy does struggle to stop the run, where Tank Bigsby does have a mid-level for me. I'm still putting him on my bench. I want to wait and see because the touches may start to split up to give some more rushing upside and keep some pressure off of a Trevor Lawrence. Christian Kirk, mid-level risk, 2 games in a row, boomed for us. I think we can play him absolutely. Wide receiver 2-3 for me. Gabe Davis on the low floor, not touching it this week, even though there is an opportunity, just not getting the football enough because of Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie sensation as well. Low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him with confidence. And Evan Ingram on the injury risk. Mid-level play for me because if he does play, he's healthy enough to suit up. I'm playing him because I drafted him, and I want to see it on the field, no question. Kansas City Chiefs taking on New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes, boy, a lot of y'all picking up other quarterbacks to stream ahead of a Patrick Mahomes. Can't fault you one bit. They lost Rashee Rice, like you guys know, to that injury. They're saying it's not an ACL, but the swelling needs to go down to do further checks. I'd be shocked if he comes back this season personally, but this does hurt this Kansas City Chiefs offense big time. Mid-level risk for a Patrick Mahomes. Saints defense still does play very well, and without all the plethora of weapons that we're typically used to seeing Mahomes have, he may struggle here from time to time. So if you got a better option, I completely understand taking it. P. Ryan and Kareem Hunt. I'm leaning on Kareem Hunt. He did pop up on the injury report with a shoulder, but he did, 9.5 points after not playing football for so long? Absolutely gems, man. Mid-level risk, I will play a Kareem Hunt over a P. Ryan this week if he does suit up. Xavier Worthy, it's time for this rookie to showcase the fact of why they drafted him as high as they did. We know the speed, we know the ability. Can he be trusted upon with a heavy dose of targets? I do believe so. So the season is definitely not out of the question with a Worthy because they just got to continue to force feed him. He will make his mistakes because he is a deep threat, but start using him over the field just a little bit more, and Worthy will use him like a Darnell Mooney, man. Get him all over the field. He's a better route runner than a lot of people do believe. So absolutely Worthy, low-level risk start for me this week. Juju, he should be the guy. You want to believe that it's starting to take over that Rashee Rice role, take those targets over the middle. You got to believe. I mean, outside of a McCole Hardman, Justin Watson, I mean, who can we really trust? Juju, yes, he has his dropping problems. Yes, his career has seen better days. But in this Kansas City Chiefs offense, we have seen Juju perform decently well. So for me, it is Juju on the mid-level and potentially becoming the next target share pig for a Patrick Mahomes. And Travis Kelce, called the boom game for him last week, hit it right on the head. It's going to continue. They're going to force feed a Travis Kelce on the regular like the old days because he has no choice now with the limited options he does have at wide receiver. Los Angeles Rams taking on those Green Bay Packers. Matthew Stafford, mid-level risk, coming off a terrible showing fantasy-wise, now facing the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be a test, man. At least, you know what, without a Cooper Kupp, without a Puka Nacua, it is very difficult to throw the football all over the place. The only consistent has been the Kyron Williams show. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Matthew Stafford, I would look in other directions this week than streaming a Stafford. Blake Corum, not yet on the field as much as we want. And we're at DeMarcus Robinson, and I am giving some flowers to a Jordan Whittington. I told y'all I would as soon as we saw it. He was the target leader last week, and that's all I needed to see. Trust in a Whittington. I am a big Longhorn supporter as well. Love me some Texas Longhorns, and I loved his game when he was there as well. So Jordan Whittington definitely showcasing the fact he's a big body wide receiver that can make a lot of plays for y'all. And I think out of all these wide receivers, he would be my number one. Where Tutu on the mid-level risk is the boomer bust caliber candidate, but he is making a lot of plays. Where DeMarcus Robinson taking all the top-end coverage, he just can't get open right now. You definitely fade him this week. Where Colby Parkinson does have the mid-level risk, low floor. 5 to 7 points is coming from him in half PPR leagues, so you can fire him up and at least, count the 5 points per week, man. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Denver Broncos. Like I said, I will not disrespect this Broncos defense anymore because of how bad the O is playing. Gardner Minshew is going to be running for his life. Low floor on the mid-level. Do not like it whatsoever. Zeus White is now a doubtful as I had him listed. Had to, update that real quick. So he's probably not going to suit up, which means Alexander Mattison should take the volume here, but it is a very tough Denver defense. I would love it versus any other defense. I would definitely caution the play of a Madison this week, even though he should get all the volume. If you're looking for volume upside, Madison is definitely key, but look what they did to Breece Hall last week. 2.8 points. Do you want to test that? I surely don't. Mid-level risk only because of volume upside. Devontae Adams on the mid-level risk. Will he play this week? The disgruntled wide receiver wants out of Vegas. He could sit this week as well, saying his hammy's acting up and he does not want to suit up. So for me, it's a mid-level risk based on circumstance, not necessarily his injury. So, if he is playing, we got to play him because it is Devontae. We'll see what happens. Jacoby Meyers, Trey Tucker, PPR upside for a Meyers. We're mid-level risk for a Tucker, and I am a big Tucker supporter. Like I've been telling y'all, he is a good talent, and when he sees lesser coverage, he can exploit anybody on the field. Trey Tucker this week. If an Adams sits, you can absolutely fire up a Trey Tucker over a Myers. You want to believe, as coverage from Surtain would go to a Myers over a Tucker, where Brock Bowers, low floor 2 weeks in a row, not necessarily booming, but at least, you know what, we can say on the mid-level risk, the floor, it could be low, but TD upside is here, but the Broncos defense is so good. Everybody gets a downgrade here with these Las Vegas Raiders. The Miami Dolphins, fish, taking on the New England Patriots, and God almighty, they've seen better days. As a Bills fan, I'm smiling. As a football fan, I'm just like, man, you guys, I feel sorry for y'all because how can you have such poor luck? Tyler Huntley, Snoop, has got a high-level risk. It did not look good last week. 11 points. They just couldn't do much, and I don't think they're going to be able to do much versus the Patriots either. But with that said, I do got to believe that Coach McDaniel is definitely going to have more schemes up to get his players the ball in space. Very quickly, timing routes. Devin off the Achane. He's got 2 boom games, 2 busts in a row. It has not looked good for Achane these last 2 weeks as they can't run the football because nobody's afraid of the pass game. So Raheem Mostert, good news. They got him back this week off the injury report as well. So we could see a heavy dose of the run game, set up that play action pass, which could mean bounce back, deep shot to a Tyreek Hill. And I got him on mid-level risk where I got Jalen Waddle on Waddle time on the QB floor. Still mid-level risk. I prefer playing Tyreek over a Waddle if I have the choice, which I do in some leagues. I'm firing up Tyreek this week. If it doesn't happen, what else can we do? I'm being optimistic here, and I think that it should happen because they cannot lose to the New England Patriots. This is still a winnable game, even as bad as Miami has been. They can still win this game if they play it efficiently enough, and Tyreek needs to be involved in any which way you can. Get him the football in his hands and just let this man run down the field. Malik Washington and a Jonnu Smith, high-level risk and low floor, respectively. We are not playing that, especially in this terrible Miami Dolphins offense. Minnesota Vikings taking on those New York Jets in London. We got to get up early this week to watch this contest, no question. Sam Darnold, revenge game. Told y'all, man, revenge games are all over the place. 4 boom games. His career is absolutely revitalized. Coach O'Connell looks like an absolute genius. Minnesota looks great for bringing Darnold in on the contract. And Darnold, if he continues down this path, is going to get paid, y'all, and going to be the franchise passer here in Minnesota. Revenge game on the low-level risk. Fire up Darnold everywhere. You got him. Likewise with an Aaron Jones. This Jets defense does not look the same as it has in the past. All this, stuff going on with Aaron Rodgers and Coach Salah, they're a little bit in disarray. So I think Minnesota's like that well-oiled machine right now, and they will continue because his name is an Aaron Jones and a Justin Jefferson. Low-level risk for me. Fire both these gentlemen up in London. They should absolutely continue to eat their feast right now because they are playing so well. Where Jalen Naylor now is on the mid-level TD floor, he's got to score to be relevant. We can't play him week to week because Jordan Addison, Addy, my dude, you guys know how much I love me some Addison. Fire him up everywhere you got him. I mean, these guys are just too damn good. So much talent on this field, so much playmaking ability, and they will give the Jets a definite run for their money. So you can basically fire up all the key positions this week for Minnesota. New England Patriots taking on the Miami Dolphins. Like I'm saying, I don't want to take a whole lot of time on this one because it is pretty much a crapshoot. The biggest thing is Ramondre versus Antonio Gibson. Gibby, the other Gibby. I mean, what do we do here? Low floor and PPR floor. So, I mean, I'm giving the PPR floor to a Gibson because I think Gerard Mayo is going to try and see what a Gibson does do. If he does not succeed early, you know he's going to have no choice but to go back to a Ramondre. And the reason why he's disgruntled right now is because of the fumbling issue. It does not look good. The coaching staff just has to make an adjustment and say, we're trying to win games, even though we know they're losing out this season. Ramondre Stevenson, for me, I think you could play him. I really do. I've been humming and hawing with this all week, and I said, because it is the Miami Dolphins, they're dealing with so many injuries themselves. The offense isn't moving. There's going to be some more opportunities for New England to have and possess the football on the offensive side. I think we can play Ramondre. Likewise, I think you can play an Antonio Gibson this week. I do believe it. It's going to have some risk, but outside of that, they're not passing to anybody else. Jacoby Brissett can't find his wide receivers basically at all. Hunter Henry's had one big game, so you got to lean on the ground game and hope that Brissett can at least convert some first downs and get somewhat into that red zone, and one of these running backs will score for y'all. So it is a risk this week for these running backs, but again, bye-week troubles, we got to look in that direction. Everybody else, Tyquan Thornton, KJ Osborne, Jalen Polk, we are not looking at. We're at Demario Douglas. Again, it's so hit and miss. Based on a Jacoby Brissett, we can't touch it. Hunter Henry, mid-level risk, does possess some TD upside. New Orleans Saints taking on the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football, baby. It's going to be a good one on Monday. If it, compares to anything like we saw on Thursday with the Bucs and the Falcons, I'm going to sign me up all day long. Derek Carr, okay, two wins and then 2 losses in a row. It's not looking good. Derek Carr's got to get out of his own way again, looking like the Derek Carr that everybody clowns when they do lose. Mid-level risk right now. He's got to find other options outside of what? Chris Olave and a Rashid Shaheed. They need the secondary piece where it is Alvin Kamara, but you're very, vanilla. Everybody knows what you're doing. It's Alvin Kamara, then CO2, then deep to Rashid. You have to do a little bit of differences here week to week, and Kansas City's defense is so good. That's why I got the Derek Carr on the mid-level risk. Alvin Kamara, fire him up everywhere he got him. It really pisses me off that I didn't get him in every single league as much as I was promoting him this offseason. I told y'all, man, everybody needed to be on the Alvin Kamara bandwagon. It's a contract year. He needs his bag, and he is turning 30 next year. Low-level risk. Fire this man up. Almost 100 points in 4 weeks, baby. He's doing LaDainian Tomlinson stuff out here. Jamal Williams, high-level risk, not touching it. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, low risk for a Chris Olave. CO2, my guy, and then Rashid Shaheed on the good upside. Low-level risk. Had a career high last week, I believe, 8 receptions? Very good game for him. And like I'm saying, at least they're able to at least, pass the ball around to at least these 2 wide receivers where we saw them wave an A.T. Perry. Now Mason Tipton, I believe, I think that's a typo, is, definitely going to try to take on the third role here. I don't foresee it happening. Taysom Hill is dealing with injury. I will be surprised if he does suit up. They said some fractured ribs where it would uplift a Juwan Johnson on the mid-level risk. We just need a Derek Carr to start feeding the tight end spot this week. But outside of that, Kamara, Olave, and Rashid Shaheed definitely fair in this contest. New York Giants taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Danny Penny's now without a Malik Neighbors and without Devin Singletary. We all can cry now. All us Malik Neighbors owners, hand up as well. I got lots of shares too. But this one, we've seen this story before. Daniel Jones without a super elite talented wide receiver like a Malik Neighbors, everybody gets a downgrade. It is what it is, mid-level risk. Seattle's defense does play pretty well, but they gave Jared Goff a perfect passer rating. What are they going to give for a Daniel Jones? Daniel Penny's mid-level risk. It's going to be tough. Tyrone Tracy will be filling in for a Devin Singletary. I don't dislike the start because Tracy is a very good running back. Got a lot of juice, got a lot of jets. I mean, is he a true 3-down back? He can catch. I just don't know how much volume he can take. So we'll see how much body punishment he will take in this contest. I do not dislike him if you're looking for a running back to play this week with some volume upside potential. Eric Gray, high-level risk, not touching that. Darius Slayton likely with Wan'Dale Robinson being your 1-2 punch without a Malik Neighbors. I got to believe that Wan'Dale 1 and then Darius Slayton 2. If you are looking for wide receivers to rank in that order, that's where I'm going. Hyatt, we're not touching. And Theo Johnson, he just doesn't get enough targets to be relevant at this point. New York Jets taking on those Minnesota Vikings in London, like I'm saying. Aaron Rodgers fighting with his coach. I don't know. I mean, he's got a knee issue, but he's playing. Defense has been very good in Minnesota as well, so they will struggle. I just didn't expect them to struggle as much last week versus the Broncos like they did, and it's going to be another week where it's very difficult for them to get a lot of traction. I truly believe a lot of rushing upside will be here. Low-level risk for a Breece Hall, where the volume floor is in the red for a Braylon Allen, but I do like the play this week more to a mid-level risk, but I'm capping them here on the volume floor because there could be limited, but I do like the potential of doing the 1-2, running back approach in this and just beat the hell out of these Minnesota Vikings on the ground. That's how I would attack them this week, to give a little bit less pressure for an Aaron Rodgers and then try to get a Garrett Wilson more involved. 33 points, 1 boom game in 4 is not getting it done for a Garrett Wilson. Target floor for him still very high, where he is getting wide receiver 1 target share comparative to the averages in the league. So we still got to fire up a Garrett Wilson everywhere we got him. Fire up a Breece Hall. I would caution an Aaron Rodgers overall. Maybe he gets you 15, but it's still going to be very tough versus Vikings defense. And then you got Allen Lazard, Mike Williams. Obviously, we're leaning towards a Lazard over Mike at this point still, as we still want to just see his role continue to move forward. And Ty Conklin, a revenge game of his own. He used to be a Minnesota Viking. PPR floor is decent for him as well. Do not dislike it. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Justin Fields, baby. One of my late-round gems. Y'all know this. You watch my videos. 74 points and carrying this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Be patient, y'all. Everybody is getting angry that the points are not just, spewing out everywhere. It's coming. It is coming, and it just took a little bit of time. Get Fields comfortable. You saw how he played last week. Yeah, okay, the passes still, some of them are not there, but he's making big progress, and he's taking over this offense the way he should. Fire up a Justin Fields everywhere he got him versus a Dallas defense that doesn't have Lawrence, that doesn't have a Micah Parsons. There's going to be gaping holes for them to at least expose on that line, so there will be more time for a Fields to dissect the field. Najee Harris on the mid-level risk. I get the play. I understand the play. I just caution it if he does not get in the end zone. We are being stymied on those top-end points. 36 points, only 1 boom game. It just hasn't been good, man. You're getting the 7 to 9 points every single week. If that's what you're looking for that safe floor, Najee's your dude. Outside of him scoring a touchdown this week, which could happen, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just cautioning it this week. If you got better options, definitely take it. George Pickens on the mid-level risk. It's been enough. It's just not been great. Likewise with a Najee, almost the same evaluation for a Pickens. We just need somebody to step up as that secondary piece to pull some coverage and pressure off of a Pickens. And I liked what they did last week with Pat Freiermuth. I've been crying for this already for 4 weeks. Feed the Muth the football, especially in that red zone, and good things are going to happen. He did score last week as well, 14 points. Beautiful contest for tight ends. He's going to continue. Mid-level risk. Fire up a Pickens. Fire up a Freiermuth this week as well. Fire up a Fields, but caution a Najee Harris. San Francisco 49ers taking on those Arizona Cardinals. Brock Purdy and company. They're looking purdy, man, because cards are not necessarily there, and I mean, this offense is moving. Purdy's playing good. I mean, without a CMC, everyone said, oh, the season's over. Purdy's playing good. Without a Debo and Kittle on the field, they're going to lose. And he feeds Juwan Jennings to 40 points, and they look good. They still lost that game, but I'm telling y'all, they look good. Purdy's low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him this week versus Cards who do struggle to defend the pass as well as the run. Jordan Mason's been killing it CMC style. Well, not quite, but he's been doing very well. 71 points for him as well. 3 boom games. We can trust Mason on a weekly. Brandon Ayuk, man, I was very critical so far in 4 weeks. I said he took the money. Does not look good. I don't like it. I'm still on the board of saying that I don't believe he's a true elite talented wide receiver 1. I think he's a great secondary wide receiver 2 in any offense. I think he'll be absolutely phenomenal. Can he carry an offense? It's to be seen. If I'm wrong, I'll definitely eat my words. But at this point, I mean, it's been a struggle. But this week, if it's any week, this is the bounce back week for a Brandon Ayuk. Fire up Ayuk everywhere you got him. They need to get him back right, and I think this is the week that they're going to force feed him targets, and he should find his way into that end zone. Bounce back week for me. Juwan Jennings takes the haircut on the PPR floor. He's going to definitely be, subject to target share coming this week, where a Debo continues to move forward from his injury. Low-level risk, fire him up, and a George Kittle with the TD upside. I think he booms this week as well. Should be a lot of points on the board for these 49ers. Seattle Seahawks taking on the New York Giants. Man, if y'all don't like what you see out of Seattle, you just don't like football. These guys are playing very well. They got so many good pieces. Geno's playing like a man that's like 20 years younger. I mean, he's doing so well, and I'm so happy to see it. Low-level risk for Geno. Fire him up everywhere he got him. There will be gaping holes in this Giants defense to make some plays. Kenneth Walker, the 30s, dealing with an injury this week as well. Different one. Hamstring. He had an oblique before. Problem with Kenny, he's so damn good. Would he have 30 points last week? But the problem is he's always in that medical room. This week we can trust him once again if he is on the field. Low-level risk, fire him up. Downgraded is a Zach Charbonnet on the mid-level risk. Unless a Kenny does not suit up for whatever reason, then Charbonnet does get installed back in there as well. DK Metcalf dealing with an injury. No signs he's going to sit this week. Low-level risk. He's the main receiver who eats every week. Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba. So typically we flip this every week. This week should be a Tyler Lockett week, but I'm going to caveat this. I think we have made progress with JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, because he is seeing the team lead in target shares. As we got, I think he had like 12 targets last week. So damn good, and it makes me happy. You see how happy I am because JSN's my guy. Target upside for me in the low-level risk. I think they're going to continue down this path and utilize a Tyler Lockett as that third piece in this offense now. JSN definitely starting over a Tyler Lockett, and Noah Fant we are not trusting because there's just not enough balls to go around. Even that rookie was taking TDs out of his mouth last week. Last one, the Washington Commanders Commies. Here we go again, taking on these Cleveland Brownies, and the Commies are so exciting to watch every single week, and his name, because, is Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, looking like he's going to be the Rookie of the Year, challenging for MVP already. It's an unbelievable start to his season, man. I'm being facetious when it comes to the MVP, but I mean, 4-1, running the football, finally, breaking out Terry McLaurin. And these guys know what they're doing. This is how you develop a young passer. This is picture-perfect development. You run the football, give them some easy throws to make, win some contests, build some confidence. It's an easy freaking formula, and they're doing it very well. Now, 2 games in, let's see if he can go deep to Terry. Bang, bang! 2 weeks in a row, he's finding Terry McLaurin. So as long as they find a secondary wide receiver to help this offense that much more, Noah Brown is out this week, which is upsetting because I thought he was making some good progress as well. But Jaden Daniels, low-level risk, fire him up. Austin Eckler is playing with a B-Rob, likely out, game-time decision on that knee injury. So if a B-Rob does sit, fire up an Eckler with good confidence coming back from that concussion. And a Jeremy McNichols showcased he can be utilized in this offense. Don't expect 20 points this week, but a 10-pointer definitely on the docket for a McNichols if a B-Rob does sit again. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry is back, baby, to back-to-back weeks having boom games. And Jaden Daniels, he is no stranger in supporting guys like a Malik Neighbors and a Brian Thomas Jr. in LSU. It was only a matter of time. I said that Terry McLaurin was the safe play because this offseason, because of a Jaden Daniels. Finally, he's proven me right. Fire up Terry everywhere you got him. Who's going to take over? I do like some Luke McCaffrey. I think there is an opportunity here. Somebody needs to step up as a secondary piece in this offense at the wide receiver spot. And with Noah Brown, I'm thinking still could be that guy. He's just got to stay on the field. Luke McCaffrey definitely has the chance to jump him right now. Low floor this week, can't play it, but definitely keep your eyes peeled because he could be a good waiver wire ad if they start feeding him targets. Diami Brown, high risk, not touching it. And a Zach Ertz on the mid-level. Again, 5 to 7 points is what you get from a Zach Ertz, and you can definitely do a lot worse at tight end. But there you have it. That is week number 5. Starts at lineup advice like always. You guys drop your start sit questions in those comments. I will get back to everybody that I possibly can. No questions asked. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments like I'm saying, and good luck this week. Let's get those dubs, and we'll see you next time. I am out.